Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Yeah.
Do you want to start off this episode with the bad news you just told me? Or do you want to say that for the end after we have
I mean, I wasn't really going to mention it.
Okay.
But I just found out that Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball, passed away
How sad.
March 1st.
Yeah. We're recording this shortly after that, and so,
Yeah.
man, it was a little sad.
Yeah, it sucks.
So it's been I haven't been a big fan of Dragon Ball, partially because I just haven't really watched a lot of it, and it wasn't on like the standard programming when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you don't talk about not even just an anime, but just like a show in general that has probably impacted so many people.
Oh yeah, tons.
And has sparked a lot of great artistic works across the board, and it has such a unique art style as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I don't know, it's so unique. Every time I see it, like the art style of that show, it just feels so part of its own thing. So anyways, mad respect for the people that made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And sad to hear a person like that goes, but
yeah, is what it is.
It is what it is. A little moment of silence for that guy.
Yeah.
But
In other news,
I
had a bit of a shot out of left field with this one.
This doesn't happen all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes Mallory will go grab dinner with her friends and stuff, and I will be stuck at work doing who knows what.
Right. This, that, and the other.
And there's a couple times where the planets align, and Dylan hasn't had dinner. I haven't had dinner.
Dude.
And I get the chance to I get the chance to come home and go, what are you feeling?
What you
like?
hungry for?
And Dylan's words exactly were, I want someone with meat in it.
Yeah,
and I was
something
like,
with beef.
And I was like, yeah. And there's like this, it kind of is like a hamburger helper adjacent. I think it's by Velveeta. They make like this, it's like a hamburger helper, like pasta dish, ground beef. I think has some peppers in it. It's supposed to be like a Philly cheesesteak kind of vibe.
So
got some
good.
cheese in it and stuff. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some cheddar biscuits.
Oh yes,
Bruh.
Red Lobster.
Dude, I'm telling you, none of this is sponsored, by the way.
Right,
we just we just pigged out on a whole dinner for us.
Send us free biscuits.
Send it, please. Please.
We'll totally shill for free food, bro.
So help me God. You give me a box of those biscuits with that freaking butter on it.
God.
Oh,
so
God.
good.
It was, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Whipped up a nice meal last night.
Yes, we did. We both tag teamed in the kitchen and made ourselves a good dinner. Like I said, it doesn't happen all the time. So whenever it does happen, it's like, oh, it's kind of a nice little thing.
Tell you what else we got.
What's that?
Fat Boys.
Oh, I forgot about the Fat Boys.
These gigantic ice cream sandwiches that neither of us had ever seen or heard of.
It has kind of like a retro aesthetic to it, like the logo, and it says like it's been around since the 1920s, I think.
Yeah, would have been nice to know.
And I was like,
Never seen them
Never
before.
seen. It looks like on the package. It looks like if you've ever seen an ice cream sandwich, it looks like a square ice cream sandwich, and it's like fatter, like there's more ice cream in the middle.
Super thick.
It looks good, and of course I was like, bro, we can't pass up the Fat Boys.
Nah, that's required.
I was like, dude, of course. They had one that was cookies and cream. And they had a regular one that was just vanilla,
dude.
And I was like, so we went. We
got the cookies and cream.
Man, we played it safe and just got the vanilla ones for now. And if they're a 10 out of 10, we'll definitely go back for a second round. But
definitely.
Spoiler alert: I forgot all about those.
Oh yeah,
and haven't actually tried them yet.
So, we're gonna.
We're gonna. After this, you better guarantee. After this show's over, we're gonna have a Fat Boy.
Yeah,
or two. So, as we were perusing Disney Plus, we're like scrolling around, looking at stuff.
Mallory had just finished watching Tangled.
Yeah, right.
After not seeing that for like 5 years.
Right.
And I was just browsing around, seeing what's what, and I stumbled upon The Rescuers.
Yes.
Which is an old school Disney animated film that I had always seen.
Yeah.
Like little bits and pieces of, but never watched like all the way.
Right.
It always looked interesting to me. And they had this little preview, like, set aside for the menu for it.
Yeah.
And, dude, I was fucking sold.
It was
the most heartbreaking thing I had ever seen.
It's the first scene, like the quote unquote trailer. Sometimes for Disney movies, they won't actually do like a trailer. It's more like a clip from from the movie. And the clip they played was the first time the two rescuer mice meet the orphan girl, like our main character, and it's just it's sad.
Right.
It is a sad movie.
Just finished praying to like in hopes of getting out of there.
Yeah.
After she'd been like kidnapped or some shit. Oh my fucking God, it's so sad.
It's so sad. But anyways, before we get into that, so that kind of sold us because obviously I think, like Dylan said, he never had watched it before. And I was like, I remember watching it a handful of times as a kid. This movie came out in 1977.
Yeah.
They had a sequel that came out in 1990.
Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy?
Called The Rescuers Down Under. Which
I had seen commercials for.
Right, which I don't think that one was bad, but also I don't remember. I haven't watched it recently, so it probably couldn't.
I haven't watched it at all.
And there's a little bit of a spinoff.
Really?
That we'll get into later in the fun facts section. There are some fun facts for this, so we will talk about that later. There are some interesting things about this movie, in that regard. So our young girl Penny is our main girl here.
Sweet as a button.
I mean, it's so
up for adoption. Somehow hasn't been adopted yet.
Right, of course. So anyways, we looked at it, and of course I was like, okay, let's go ahead and watch it. And he was like, seriously? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we went ahead and watched it, and it's kind of a wild movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happening, and I told Dylan, I was like, I don't remember the full detailed plot of this movie, but what I do remember is that they exploit the girl somehow.
Yeah.
This young orphan girl somehow gets exploited by this absolute monster woman.
Yes.
And I was like, and I told him, I was like, and I can't think of anything nicer to say besides that.
No. Have you ever seen anyone who, in the most appropriate term I can think of, is built like a burlap sack?
Yep.
That's what this creature is.
Yeah. Her name is Madame Medusa. And boy, could there not have been a better name, better representation.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, I probably would turn to stone if that thing walked up to me. I was
gonna say if my eyes did dare glance at her face, I probably would turn to stone.
If they were green, almost like a neon green that I can only assume would glow in the dark.
She got that blue eyeshadow on too.
Fake lashes.
Anyways.
Absolutely hideous.
But the thing is, it also like matches her just like totally detestable personality. Right. So it also
deranged even.
So it doesn't feel bad to make fun of her, especially her appearance, because you're like, man, you're bad. You're also a bitch.
You're an awful person.
You're an awful person. You're an awful person that is going to exploit this orphan child for your own personal gain.
A shiny rock.
Ugh.
Disgusting.
What a detestable woman. So anyways, so obviously like the we know who are two kind of. She hasn't been introduced yet, but I went ahead and told Dylan that. I was like, I don't remember anything except for being scarred by her by her demeanor and her horrible demeanor as a child. Going, I remember I was like, it doesn't take much as a kid to go, yeah, she's bad,
right?
It more than
right off the bat.
Yeah, the honesty of a child. You're mean,
right? Fuck you.
So this is kind of an interesting flipping of the script where I have seen this film probably a handful of times and Dylan has not. So it was
a rare occasion.
Exactly.
But I mean, there's more than a few like that I could probably name.
I just think it's an interesting flipping of the script that I thought about as I was thinking about this movie today. So there is, I guess let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. There are mice.
Right. The Rescue Aid Society.
The Rescue Aid Society.
Which is a multinational group of mice.
Yep.
That are just ever at the ready to help anyone in need for some reason.
Right.
So it started like we see a bunch of what I can only assume are like ambassadors or delegates from different nations at an airport. And as they start like departing or arriving,
and don't forget that this also this rescue aid society, this union
Yeah.
is held at the United Nations building in New
Are you
York
serious?
City. Yes.
Wow.
That's the scene. Is it's actually
even notice.
in New York City. They actually pan to the United Nations building,
Yeah.
where like all the different delegates from the world
That's
actually meet in the United
hilarious.
Nations. And of course, they have like a separate little mouse entrance off to the side that they actually enter
Right.
into. So
It
anyways,
actually says mice entrance.
it does. Yeah,
They know.
they know. Yeah. So
Oh man. Yeah, so they start gathering around for a meeting discussing like their newest cry for help that they've received,
right.
which just so happens to be Penny's little message in a bottle that she sent out
Right.
at the top of the film. And
Oh, and what a beautiful track, by the way.
oh yeah.
There's like we get this opening scene of like, you know, of Penny being sad, and of course like she like casts this bottle out, and it's all these like hand painted artworks of like different waves with the bottle on it in different positions and boats and
you can tell like
storms.
most of the backgrounds are hand painted too. Like you
Right.
can see that it's just the canvas.
Exactly. And it's, I mean, and they have this like this beautiful like sad song that like
Mhm.
plays behind it. That's like so, it's a good track.
Oh, yeah.
And, anyways, I just thought that was interesting. Like we're you know, we're like watching this bottle go between these different like hand painted artworks while this song is playing. It's like, oh, this just feels
It's
good.
gorgeous. But as the meeting starts, we catch a glimpse of Bernard, the janitor,
Yeah.
doing his due diligence. And
What a guy.
yeah,
He's just like, hey, good
Average
to see
Joe.
you. Right. He's sweeping and you know, he's welcoming everyone into the building. What a nice guy. What a
Yeah.
swell guy.
Oh yeah, already a stand-up dude.
Yeah.
But apparently he's got a bit of a superstitious streak going right
Yeah.
now. Always wary of ladders or stairs that have 13 steps.
Yeah.
I can only assume because it's not an even number. He's just leery about it for whatever reason.
Well, I think it's also like that's like one of those. That's like the classic superstition is like
Right.
like the floor 13 is haunted.
Oh,
you know, like
yeah.
so like the number 13 is never is
Right,
always
it's
kind of
an
an unlucky
unlucky
number.
number.
Yeah. So I think anytime we get a
He
few,
always stops short of like the top
Yeah.
steps. It's like, oh, there's
13
13
steps.
steps on this ladder. It's like superstitious nonsense.
Yeah.
But
But I like it's a little character flaw of his because he also feels very buttoned up and kind of
right.
even though he's like a janitor and kind of feels very like you know very chill. Like he has
He's
this
also a bit of a bumbler.
a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But he also has this kind of superstitious side where he's also kind of like protective and you know a little apprehensive. But
Right.
it's cool. It feels like an interesting flaw for his character
Mm-hmm.
to have this kind of like a little quirk about him.
Right. And then we're introduced to Bianca,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not sure where she's from.
Hungarian.
Oh, okay. Did it say that? Damn.
I think on whenever she steps in front of her like podium, it says Hungary. But I have I'm
okay.
looking at some little things here, and it's
I gotcha.
she's from Hungary.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So she's got like a bit of an accent, and she's like the white mouse. It's all dolled
Oh,
up,
yeah,
and so everyone's
prim
like,
and proper.
everyone's like, ooh,
Right.
Bianca's showed up. Ooh.
Everybody's giving her the side eye.
exactly.
It's crazy.
Right.
But she starts to decipher the letter after it's been a little watered down.
Right.
And after they find out where she is,
Yeah.
in what was it called?
The Devil's Bayou.
The swamp
In
where
for the-
Satan himself resides.
for those of you who don't know, we live in Louisiana,
Mm.
in an undisclosed location,
Right.
and I'm not going to tell you where.
Yeah.
But this takes place in the Devil's Bayou in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to say we live there, but maybe we do reside in the
We're
Devil's
definitely
Bayou.
close. I'd say they did a decent representation.
Oh, right. And so I thought that was funny. It's like this movie
Big
takes,
ass gators.
this movie takes place in New York City
Mm.
for some of it. And then, of course, we end up going down to Louisiana, which is an
Right.
interesting kind of turn of events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, of course, everybody's a little weary of going to the Devil's Bayou.
Mm-hmm.
I can only assume because of the reputation it's garnered.
Of course.
But Bianca's all for it. It's like, well, we got to do our fucking job, don't we?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, okay, well, at least don't go on your own. Like, you got to take somebody with you.
Right.
And, of course, everybody volunteers.
Oh, yeah. Every guy's,
Right.
like you said before, chomping at the bit. They're just
Every
like,
single
please pick
person.
me. Please pick me.
Right, except for Bernard.
Right.
Because, of course, he's just a janitor. He's not like an actual agent for the society.
Yeah, yeah.
So
for
Bianca,
the society,
right? Oh God, he's a fucking contractor.
Yeah, exactly.
Contractor. Oh Jesus.
Yeah. That's all right. That's a Grand Blue reference
Right,
for those
right.
of you who don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So Bianca is apparently taken a shine to him,
yeah,
and chooses him
right.
to volunteer with her.
Because her character feels a little more free spirited,
Right,
a little
gung ho,
more
risk taker.
exactly, and is also like kind of wild and free.
Mhm.
And so obviously he kind of feels like the opposite to her in some aspects, where he feels very kind of put together, a little nervous, a little, bumbling, stammering, that kind of stuff, that vibe. So anyways, it's interesting to see the kind of the two different sides of the coin.
Mhm.
Speaking of like the society and stuff, I know I made the joke that whenever they all entered into the space, I was like, "It's the Royal Rat Authority."
I do for real.
Like,
oh my God. It's actually just the Royal Rat Authority.
Yeah, it's all just them. They're all at the council.
Oh, the Mighty Mouse Monarchs.
Exactly. Look at them all go.
Mhm.
But after this, they end up going through New York City to try and find passage to
a mode of transportation.
Or they're trying to. I think they're trying to find where Penny is.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to like retrace the steps of the girl and going to the orphanage and things like that.
Yeah. After which we end up meeting Rufus, the cat.
Right. Oh, damn, dude. I never thought that I'd be so emotionally attached to like an old grandpa cat.
Mm-hmm.
Damn,
he's great.
What a great character. He's like the fact like the two of them have like found Penny's box of like belongings, and it's kind of like a bunch of knickknacks and little things, whatever. And then like old Rufus wakes up and he's like, "Oh, you two mice can't be taking up residence
right.
here.
I'm gonna lose my job.
Yeah. And
too old to be chasing mice."
And then what did he say? I think he said, I'm 2 bits shy of, or he used like an old man slang for something. I was like, damn, what a guy.
Very endearing.
Yeah.
But he was apparently Penny's confidant.
Yeah.
At the orphanage.
Yeah.
Cheered her up when she was down. Oh my God, dude, this is so fucking sad.
Dude, I was like, bruh.
In his recounting of his last encounter with her before she got kidnapped.
Yeah.
He was talking about how down in the dumps she looked, and and he was like, "Well, what's the matter?" It's like, little girl got adopted instead of me. But she was prettier. And Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Nothing will melt my heart more than a sad little girl.
Right. And I don't even know how old she technically is, but she kind of talks with like a little bit like I don't want to say a lisp, but
she's got a bit of a gap in her teeth.
But she seems very young, very innocent, very pure, and it just feels so heartbreaking to see this kid.
Who wouldn't want to adopt this precious little girl?
I was like, damn, dude. And like you're saying, she kind of confides in him in a while, and of course he has such a way of like encouraging her. But then he says this wonderful thing about faith. And he's like, about like believing and like having faith. He's like, it's
faith is a bluebird,
right,
in the distance.
Right, it is there. It is present. It is something physical there. It's like the horizon. It's something that you can't, or like a star in the sky.
Right,
it's
that
there.
You can't hold by.
Right,
or what have you.
Right. But you know it's there. And I was like, damn, what a good definition of faith in just anything, and believing in something. And it was such a great thing, because then I think it connects for her, and she repeats it, and she's like, oh, so it's something that I can't buy or touch or own or hold on to, but it's always there.
Yeah.
And what did the last thing he said? He's like it basically saying like, have faith that it'll all get better.
Yeah.
Or it'll all faith is believing that it's all going to make it through in the end, or something like that, was kind of like what like his final remarks. And of course it really cheers her up, and of course they go off and have dinner. But like she also like saves some little ginger snap cookies or whatever. And it was just it was such like a, I don't know, it's loving, it's caring, and it's just this like again, like out of these characters, obviously I think I would feel the most for this little girl who's an orphan and is abandoned and feels like no one wants her.
Right.
That's heartbreaking enough.
Oh, yeah.
But then to find this old cat that like he even has like a grandpa mustache.
Yeah.
So like it just like it feels funny in a way, but then it's like,
damn, bro.
But like,
I need me a grandpa cat.
But the fact of like what he's saying and like the fact that he's able to cheer her up and is like it just like is there for her. It's like she ain't got nothing, but she got old Rufus there. And I was like, damn, dude, that's gonna make me sad.
Yeah,
I was like, shit, that's great stuff. But yeah, so after that, after he recounts that story, he was like, she ended up kind of disappearing out of nowhere or ran away or whatever.
Mean old woman by the name of Madame Medusa.
Oh God! And
this is where give her a ride.
This is where it gets interesting. So,
yeah,
they I want so Madame Medusa owns a pawn shop.
Yes.
I was trying to like recount the steps of everything that was going on.
Yeah,
she owns a pawn shop, and we get this brief conversation on the phone with her about like the diamond or the diamonds or whatever.
Snoop checks in with her and she gets all excited like, oh my God, he found the diamond.
Yeah, exactly.
But then Snoop highlights the difficulties in using Penny to get the diamond and that she won't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At this point, I'm pretty sure that she has taken Penny from the orphanage and has now has her down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
At the Devil's Bayou in this old busted up steamboat.
Right. Under the watch of this portly little man who goes by Snoop.
What a weird looking dude.
And her two pet alligators.
Yeah, dude.
Nero and Brutus.
Yeah. You can't, I mean...
You can't make this shit up.
I mean,
like,
that is what it is.
I've always wanted a pet alligator or crocodile or some shit like that. Just a super dangerous reptile.
Yeah. So basically, the two mice
after narrowly hitchhiking in Medusa's car, which she drives like a fucking maniac too, by the way.
Oh yeah,
like Cruella DeVille type shit.
Yeah. They end up getting knocked out of the car, and they have to go and try and find another way to get down to that part of town. So they're going to try and take some sort of plane there.
Yeah, just so happens to be Albatross Airlines.
Yes, exactly. I think his name is Orville.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Orville the Albatross.
This motherfucker right here.
What a guy.
Yeah. Easily one of my favorite characters.
He's having a fun time. I love it. One thing that I think is so interesting is the fact that, but before we get on to Orville, because I mean there's a lot there, is that like I said earlier, is that Bianca and Bernard feel like kind of opposites, but it's interesting to see that. It's interesting to see Bernard's transformation in this movie, because like he starts off. This is probably a loose connection, but this is what I took out of it.
Yeah,
is that Bianca loosens him up and kind of like at every moment where he's apprehensive or he holds back.
She gives him a little push,
or she has the confidence to do it, which then gives him the confidence to do it. Where she may be scared, but he's like, "Okay, I have to man up and be the protector. I have to do something," and then he'll go push forward and do it himself.
Yeah,
and there was a moment where whenever he's going up the stairs again, it's 13 steps, and she's like, "It's fine, just." Jump over the last one, and then of course he's like, "Oh, okay," and then he swings over and hops on. And it's fine.
Bad luck avoided.
Right, and at that point, it's like, it's these little moments like that where she keeps like opening up, opening him up a little bit, just like these little bitty bits where like he's also getting nervous and like on the quote unquote flight on the back of this bird.
Oh my god!
And
we have to talk about that startup sequence.
Oh, dude. we do. We're getting there. There's like this there's this really sweet moment where like she kind of is like resting and then kind of like snuggles up next to him and is like, it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
Right.
And then of course like he like kind of, does the little like he like moves his arm over a little bit.
Just
and then, a little stretch and then arm around. But then he's like, I think what he says directly afterwards is like, yeah, I think it's gonna be all right. And it's just these little things like that where a couple more times where that happens where like he's apprehensive and then she kind of like opens up a little bit and he's like, it'll be all right.
It's very sweet. It's a very nice dichotomy these two cartoon mice have.
Right. And I was like, I mean, I was like, to be honest, their relationship I think is better written than some relationships I've watched in some movies. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting. I like the character dynamic. I like the fact that they're different. But and then you got one that's trying to hold back while the other one is like slowly trying to warm this other one up to like, it's gonna be all right. And you're like, all right.
Simple.
Exactly. Super nice. But yes, go ahead with the takeoff scene.
Motherfucking Orville makes.
He
comes in hot. It's a crash landing for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And Bernard walks up to him like, "Are you all right, sir?" It's like he's just like, "One of my better landings, actually." And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah." And I'm pretty sure Bernard goes, "Nope."
Right.
He's like, "Oh no."
And he explains to them their plight and where they need to go, and he's like, "Well, sure, I can get you there, no problem." And, oh my god. He takes him like he's got a sardine can on his back as like where the passengers are sitting,
basically.
he makes him go through the flight checklist as if he's not like the mode of transportation himself. Exactly.
But he goes through an actual like pilot's flight checklist. But I love the way he's like, go ahead and read off the checklist. And like Bernard's holding the list. He's like, okay.
Right. First
goggles.
Is like goggles down. It's like check.
I think he
what
said
were the others.
I think he said flaps. Like
flaps turned down.
He like moves his wings. He's like check. Tail feathers check.
Double check.
Yeah, I love that.
And at the bottom it says, "If at first you don't succeed, try again." It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm about to fucking die.
I'm about to die, dude. And then of course he takes a run and start, and then he can't get off the ground.
He starts huffing and puffing like it's like he's straining to get up in the air. And it goes on for like a while. I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah.
I'd be so like, imagine you're on a 747 airliner.
Yeah.
And all you hear over the intercom is the pilot like just breathing heavy. And it's like, what the fuck is going on up there?
He's manually
Are you okay?
He's manually making this plane fly off the ground.
Jesus. He's just got pedals up in the cockpit. He's Flintstoning that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's great.
Without much difficulty, they are able to get up in the air.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he runs. It's facetious. Okay,
right.
He runs off of the runway and then, of course, falls down and then takes air and then starts to fly.
Right.
And in that scene, we'll touch back on it later. But in that scene where he takes off for the first time, where they're flying, and he starts falling down in New York, and they're passing by the buildings. And then he flies back up and they all take off and everything's all peachy keen. That sequence right there, that's in that sequence, that is there is something that happens between there in the original cut of the movie, like VHS version of it. Yeah. That is scandalous.
Really?
Yeah. We'll touch on that later. But it's in that sequence right there that happens. But I think in DVD releases later and I think in the sequence we watched doesn't have it.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so so they end up taking off and flying all the way to the Devil's Bayou.
Right. Ugh. And this setup that they've got down there is an old dilapidated ferry boat.
Yeah. Old paddle steamboat.
Right, that Mr. Snoop has set up his base of operations in, evidently.
Looked all busted up.
He's just got... I don't know what contraption you'd call this, but Madame Medusa comes in on what I could only describe as a very post-industrial era steam motorboat.
Yeah, it's like a
like a pseudo jet ski, except there's an actual jet.
Yeah,
on the back.
It's this movie kind of takes place in what feels like the 20s and 30s kind of that vibe.
Yeah.
I just looked at the box art for this, and it says 2 tiny agents versus the world's wickedest woman.
Jesus.
In a razzling animated...
Razzling.
Yeah. The Rescuers. But yeah, it kind of has that old 20s and 30s industrial vibe where it does feel like there is a hole in the front, which is like the air intake for the jet out the back, and there's like pipes and a whole like metal sled bottom and stuff.
Right.
Anyways, it's crazy.
Admittedly, it's a cool little thing to have.
Right. But it obviously it starts like other old vehicles, like old Model Ts, where you have like hand cranks and like physical like switches that change spark plug positions and things like that. Where it's like, yo, what? You have to engage spark plugs before like you crank the engine over, and it's like, oh shit. Oh, and don't forget make sure your fuel injector is turned on, because there's also a switch for that too. It's like, oh yeah, this is like we're talking some old stuff
school
here. Which is cool, you know. So that's a vibe. It was a period in history,
right?
So yeah, so she ends up cruising in on her industrial jet boat. So what? They end up. How do they end up shooting the fireworks again? What caused that?
So that was after they realized Penny escaped again, or tried to.
Oh, right.
And when she was gone, Snoop just loaded up a firework into the furnace and just let it shoot out the smokestack. And evidently he's got one for every occasion, because once they get a hold of her again, he sends up another one that just spells out "Got Girl."
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I missed that one.
Right.
Got Girl.
Yeah, it's crazy. But after she's been detained once again, Bernard and Bianca are able to make contact with the locals.
Yeah, because whenever the this is just great. Whenever the fireworks shoot up in the sky, one of them ends up burning or reveals tail feathers, and he ends up like the noise.
Mayday, we're going down.
I think he unironically says, "Bail out!" Twice, and I was like, "Bruh,
oh man,
I haven't heard that term in a long time. Not since my my Battlefield days."
Oh God, yeah.
But yeah, so they end up falling out, and they use the umbrella as like a parachute in a way. But like you said,
it doesn't work. By the way, don't try that.
No, definitely don't.
I'm speaking from experience.
They end up meeting some of the locals, and I mean, you want to talk about some stereotypes that are true.
Yeah, these are some old like Creole folk.
Yeah, dude,
that reside in the swamp.
You got the old mama, like the mama mouse or whatever, and she got just the pink apron on with the hat or whatever, and you got the
the
moonshiner who just like has his old hat. He's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. This batch is hot, or whatever he says.
Something spicy in this one. Oh,
this will wake them up. Just has that, like,
put a little pep in your step.
Oh, God. Yeah. What a fun time.
But they're nice though. They're just as fed up with Madame Medusa as everybody else is, apparently.
Yeah.
And are hoping to one day run her out.
Right.
But
there's also a dragonfly named Evinrude.
Oh, yeah.
What an interesting
fastest engine in the swamp.
Yeah, dude. Guy can book it.
Right. Doesn't speak, but buzzes quite a bit and wheezes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, and then it doesn't help. Like Penny has this teddy bear that she always holds on to. I think its name is just Teddy.
Right.
But like she has this bear that she holds on to, and it's like these. I mean, it's this like. Again, it just feels like one of her only things that, like, she has. It feels like. So in these moments where, like, you know, she's like running around, she has this bear, and it's like her only thing. It's like her. Anyways, so it's really sad.
Right.
But
as if it wasn't sad enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where we kind of getting to the point where we're starting to realize what the mission here is. She's trying to get this diamond.
Right. The devil's eye.
Right. But it's like in this mine / like like Pirates
underground
Cove,
like cavern. Yeah,
right?
yeah, just a bunch of dead pirates in there.
Oh yeah,
with treasure,
right?
like actual pirate treasure.
Yeah,
And
I love.
She's already brought up a bunch of stuff, but Medusa just doesn't want any of the small shit.
Right,
She wants the big diamond.
Right. The Devil's Eye.
Mm-hmm. So of course they keep sending her down there trying to find it, but
I love the
no
reveal.
avail.
I love the reveal of the fact that it was pirates.
Yeah.
By whenever she's already been down there a couple times, and of
Mhm.
course the rescuers, the two mice, are
Right.
like, well, how do you? She's like, oh, this is a bunch of pirate treasure, and he's like, well, how do you know it's pirate treasure?
Yeah, where'd you find
And
this?
he's like,
And
oh,
it's
is that
because
guy?
of that guy. And it's just a fucking skeleton
With a sword stabbed in the gut.
with a chest
Yeah,
in its
yeah,
lap.
yeah,
It's like,
it's
oh
like-
my god.
I was like, okay, cool, yeah. So we're here now.
Penny's a stout-hearted girl
Yeah,
to be sent down there multiple times and not freak out.
yeah.
Jesus. But
So,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Would not catch me. Okay, look, I might go down there, depending on if there's actual treasure. Never seen a skeleton in real life before, but I think it'd be worth it.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen something close enough to the real thing that I'm like, I probably would be a little shaken, but
Yeah.
I think I'd be all right.
It's just bones.
Just bones.
Now, if there's still like meat on that shit and it's
Yeah.
decaying, I'm not going near it.
No. If there's like a guy who died, enough to decompose mostly, that's a different question.
Right. But-
That may be a little traumatizing for me.
Yeah, I don't know that I could deal with that. But Penny, little orphan girl,
Right.
handles it no problem.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, the caveat about this little cavern is that there is a big old hole.
Yep.
That water will come up through and eventually flood
Yeah.
the cavern, like periodically as the tide comes in.
Right. It kind of feels like some sort of geyser kind of
Mhm.
vibe, but
Yeah. But oh man, let's see.
so basically what they do is like they end up trying to get around. She ends up holding up her lantern and it kind of like reflects on like
Mhm.
this skull or whatever. So like they
Right.
end up like making their way around over this like kind of. So there's the little hole is the entrance into this like small cave. Once
Mhm.
you're in the cave, a little bit more over to the left, there's this big hole and there's no sides really on it to get around it.
Right, it's very narrow.
But there's like this other part on the other side of it where like the actual like gem is kind of hidden.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of
inside of a skull.
inside of the skull.
How it got there, I have no
I
idea,
don't know either.
but it has the effect.
And it also feels like it's kind of wedged between some rocks.
Mhm.
So who knows what that's all about?
Right. Somebody
anyways.
probably got themselves buried.
Yeah. So the two mice end up making their way around
Mm-hmm.
carefully.
Yeah.
Make it to the other side, but the deadgum devil's eye is too big.
Right. Won't fit through the socket.
Won't fit through the orbital. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I got no clue.
There's like a whole name for it. Orbital
Right.
bone. The eye socket of the skull.
Mm-hmm.
It's too big.
Yeah. So Bernard tells Penny to grab a sword.
Yep.
And use it to pry the skull open.
Yep.
At the mouth, which works
Mm-hmm.
eventually, but not before the tide comes in and starts whisking them off
Yeah.
deeper into the cavern.
You want to talk about anxiety inducing?
Right. Oh my god, they almost drowned like 3 separate times.
Dude, I'm like, oh my
dude.
God.
Ugh.
It's dreadful. And the whole time that this is happening, Madame Medusa has the teddy bear
Mm-hmm. Held
and,
hostage.
and took the teddy bear from her whenever like she went down there the first time. And
Yeah.
it was like this, I mean, it's almost heartbreaking.
Mhm.
And then so to have like her almost drowned to death, and of course, like no matter what she does, no matter how she cries for it, she's like, I'm not gonna do anything unless you bring back up that diamond.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you're just so
Evil.
you're so
Pure evil.
detestable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because like you're like, this kid's almost gonna die, and you're
Right.
just over here like, I'm not
No
gonna.
remorse.
I'm not bringing you up unless you got the diamond. And so she finally has it, and of course, like makes her way up, and then as she's being like hoisted up,
Mm.
they just yank it out of her hand.
Oh yeah.
and it's
Don't
just-
even. They don't even like get her out of the bucket
No.
all the way.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
And then of course, like the guy, Mr. Snoops, is being like double crossed by.
Right, because of course Madame
I mean,
Medusa's gonna keep that shit all
of
to herself. I don't know what the fuck he was expecting,
Right.
but yeah. None too happy about that.
No.
Now, once they make it back to the boat, is when she's got them both at gunpoint and is about to leave. It's like, if either one of you try to follow me, I'm going to fill you full of holes.
It's crazy.
And of course, Penny's just like, okay, but are you going to give me back my fucking bear like you promised? It's like, nah, it's mine now. Because she has stuffed the diamond into the bear.
Right.
Now,
as some sort of way of hiding it, I'm assuming.
Right, yeah. So Bernard and Bianca are able to just set up a little tripwire to knock her flat on her ass, after which she drops the bear, and Penny just nabs it and makes a run for it. And after that point, Evinrude is able to get back to the swamp folk, let them know what the deets are, and they begin their attack.
Right.
The miscreants' revenge. And they're just wailing on her. Like,
oh, yeah.
As she's on the ground, like, old Mama Mouse is just beating her over the head with a
rolling pin.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's good shit.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite little side characters was the mole.
Oh, dude.
Because after, like, he's all gung-ho, starts burrowing underground, and after a minute, he's like, he bumps out of the ground. It's like, where'd everybody go? And he gets fucking trapped. But, yeah. Thankfully, they were able to make it out of there by hijacking her little jet boat.
Yeah.
And
I know that the stereotype of like the moonshine mouse or whatever is I mean, it's so funny though. But he has like a long white shirt with like that like brown kind of hat thing.
Almost like a straw hat.
Yeah. And
Overalls.
he carries around like a clay jar with one of those like circle handles on the side.
Yeah.
That has, I'm assuming, a bunch of moonshine in it. And
might as well have had the XXX on there.
Exactly. And like, I didn't know this as a kid. I don't think I ever really noticed it at all. Whenever he drank it, it was like hot fire coming out. I thought it was like he was drinking some sort of like hot sauce or something as a kid, I guess, or what.
Yeah.
I don't know what I thought as a kid.
Right.
But now growing up, like he obviously like
boozing and cruising.
The first time he meets Bernard, whenever he like falls out of the sky, he like gets him like, here,
he like picks him up, dusts him off a bit, and then gives him a swig of moonshine. And not even this will pick you up.
Not even sweet. He just goes and like pops it in his mouth, and goes blip 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 blip, and he's like, and I love the fact that like Bernard, even afterwards, he can't talk. Like if you've ever
is all hoarse.
If you've ever drank like hard liquor, like a pretty strong amount of it, and like you kind of have that in your throat. There's a couple times where I forgot what he's trying to say, but he's like,
just has to strain to speak.
Yeah, I'm all right. It's good. I love it. But yeah, so they end up, they're wailing on, Madame Medusa.
Now, she is dogged in her pursuit.
Yeah,
is able to latch onto the boat with like a rope.
Yeah,
almost gets launched a few times, bashed into trees and shit, just sailing through the swamp. She runs into both of her gators again, and he just uses them as like a makeshift support while she's like hanging off her dear life on this thing and is just hitting them.
Yeah.
Like to apparently keep them going is what I would assume. But I mean, God, it's just relentless.
Yeah. She's like whipping them like they're almost like a horse. Like you would like whip a horse to kind of keep going or whatever. But it's like they're being drug along by you in the boat right now. So like you just hitting them is just not.
Yeah, they ain't helping, lady.
It just looks bad.
I'm not sure you know what help is, but this ain't
not
it.
helping.
Now, they're able to dislodge her finally, after which she slams into one of the smokestacks after the ferry fucking exploded.
Yeah.
And, both of her gators have now turned on her.
Of course.
And we're left to assume that she is just eaten
I would hope
once her grip runs out.
Yeah.
But, good fucking riddance. Nobody's going to cry over that.
No.
But, all's well that ends well. We cut back to New
it's
York.
also it is also called the Swampmobile, by the way. I'm looking at the I'm looking at I just now noticed that.
Wow. Amazing. Need me a Swampmobile.
Yeah.
But they're able to make it back to New York somehow. I can't imagine how, But
I think that Orville was around
to carry the girl.
Oh, I don't know how she got back.
Maybe, yeah, okay. But other than that, yeah, we see a live news coverage of her discovery of the Devil's Eye being turned into the Smithsonian exhibit. And she ends up getting adopted by a very nice-looking couple, thankfully.
Yeah. And it's all happily ever
Where
after.
the fuck have they been?
Right.
Right.
Well, they probably didn't know about her until now. She's famous now, so they're like,
Right.
oh, we gotta nab her up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, gives a shout out to Bernard and Bianca on TV.
Right. And then there's like this kind of interesting moment where this entire time I thought that obviously she can understand all the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that because like the United Nations also had like the mouse entrance, that I thought that everyone could like talk to animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that just animals could talk in this universe.
But no, evidently not.
The reporter kind of is like, what do you mean? Two mice.
She's just like, all mice could talk.
Oh, she's like,
same as anybody else.
Exactly.
Didn't you know that?
It's the Royal Rat Authority.
Right.
It's the
society.
The Rescue Aid Society is the thing that
man.
saved me. And he's like, what are you talking about? You're crazy.
The kids say the darndest things.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, so she's special, could talk to all animals.
Right.
It's like, oh, so not only is she like, savior of the Devil's Eye,
Right.
but
Also
she's
specting to animal speak.
Exactly. Right. She got that trait on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely movie.
Oh, yeah.
I had a fun time watching it, and it's a good little blast from the past.
Oh, yeah.
But I would like to talk about some of the fun facts now.
Yeah, what's this scandal you had mentioned?
Okay, so I'm not. They may have it in these 10,
Uh-huh.
but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to you now instead
instead
of waiting on it.
Right.
I remember seeing this. There was a couple of things in Disney movies that were considered scandalous,
right?
Like the fact that the Little Mermaid, whenever they're getting married, and once upon a time the preacher or the priest, like he was supposed to have like kind of bony knees that were kind of protruding out from like his like robe that he had. People thought that he had a boner.
Oh my god!
So it looked wrong because it looked like that. So I don't know if you've ever seen that. Like the old cartoon characters have like a line and kind of like a round kneecap base that it protrudes out. It kind of looked like that, but on the white robe it just looked like he had a bulge happening.
Jesus.
So that's one of them. There's one time where I think like they say that
bro's got a hard on for matrimony.
Right. I think it's in like the Lion King in the skies. Like if you look at the stars, you can like kind of like sort of connect the stars to say sex. Like there's have you not heard anything of these?
No.
Really? Okay. So there's a lot of these that are like adjacent things like that are like you could say that it's that or whatever.
Just little tidbits here.
Right.
Wow,
but
dude.
this one,
I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, look into it. There's a bunch of them that like people. Some of them feel more credible than others.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, they're animated films.
Yeah.
So anything that's in there, it feels
gotta
like
be suitable for children.
Right. Well, but it's also like it's not like it's like you're filming nature and then something happens. It's like everything had to be painted or had to be like done meticulously. So the fact that it's in there means that someone put it there.
Right. Somebody went out of their way.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Exactly. That's kind of what they're saying.
Okay.
In this movie, in the first few iterations of it, whenever they start running, like he starts running and then jumps off the building, off the quote unquote runway, and is like flying down. We get that shot where they're looking down at the ground and the bird's falling, and then of course we get the shot of like Bernard like tensing up or whatever as he's tipping down like this and then going like that. In the process of doing like that in the film, there's a bunch of different windows that are passing behind them.
Oh no!
And I mean, it is in a split second. It passes by. There's a topless woman in one of the yeah.
Holy shit!
I mean, it's also like it kind of feels like a picture that was kind of imposed on the scene, and whenever you watch it at full speed, it's like it's hard to see,
millisecond type.
But
shit.
whenever you freeze it, you're like, oh, that's That's boobies.
That's them's tits.
Right.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It's very brief, and it's one of those things where like it happens for maybe a frame or two, where like you can really pause it and catch it. And I looked up on YouTube, and you can find the original clip of it where it shows up, where someone has it. Like
somebody archived
right.
Shit.
But it's also, I mean, it's not even that like it's. Because they also like color matched it, and like all the windows are kind of like a yellow color, yellowy orange color. Like the image looks like that, and it also like it's kind of hard. Like the details aren't really there, but anyways, the picture is there, but it's not like. Personally, it's not one of those things where I'd look at it and go, "Ooh la la!" I could sit here and look at this all day. Yeah, it's
boobies.
It's kind of like, I mean, that's what that is, but it's anyways, it's nothing.
Not
fantastic
obscene.
and not obscene by any means.
Right.
So, anyways, obviously, it's been wiped out of all history and pretend
we're
like
just
it
gonna cut that out real quick.
But that's a prime example of like that didn't just happen. Somebody put that there,
right?
And so it's people get upset because like it's a kids movie, and I get it. But anyways, there's other things in movies like that happen. It said that the original idea for the rescuers goes as far back as 1962.
Oh, wow.
But was initially shelved partly due to Walt Disney's distaste for anything even remotely political. And the 1960s were a tumultuous time socially, and Disney wanted his creations to be a refuge from the maddening crowd.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, story was tweaked to focus on a kidnapped polar bear instead of other changes were made to the script until the film actually produced, but the gamble paid off in the end. The movie was so successful it gave birth to its own franchise.
Sweet.
Which we're getting into now.
Yeah, franchise. As far as I was aware, there were only like 2 of these films.
There were. In late 1960s and early 1970s were when spin-offs were more fashionable and economically viable than sequels. There's one. Oh, that's one of the reasons that the sequel to the 1970s Aristocrats never took off by 1976. However,
they were making a sequel to Aristocats?
Supposedly.
Damn. I had no clue.
The pendulum had swung back, and Disney gave both concepts equal time. Rescuers got both a spinoff and a sequel. Rescuers Down Under, released in 1990, and the television series that was planned for 1988 was released as Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
No fucking way, dude. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Television series instead. So
that's nuts.
Instead of it being the Rescuers, they went ahead and branded it with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers and gave it the same kind of premise.
My God.
So what a little fun nod that was.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So I read that, I was like, holy shit, that's cool.
Wow.
Euripides Mouse.
The founder of the organization.
Yeah. During the Rescue Aid Society meeting in the movie, The Gathering takes a moment to remember the heroic Euripides Mouse.
Pulled the thorn from the lion's paw.
Exactly. It turns out this organization has been in operation since 405 BC.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Which is a pretty decent run, all things considered.
I'd say so.
The film's animators didn't create the famous mouse. It is a reference to a famous fable of Aesop.
Right.
Who told a tale about a brave little mouse that helped a lion. His bravery and was duly rewarded. And that's the moral of the story,
too. Got the funding for his own organization, man.
Bear in mind that
he started up the fucking Speedwagon Foundation.
Bear in mind that Bianca is also a mouse who's not afraid of cats. And keeps her eyes open, and yet another reference to the ancient Greece in this movie. So,
wow. Very cool.
Oh my gosh, I just saw a picture of Medusa and I'm
Oh God, yeah, no,
I'm
no
sick.
thanks.
Yeah, Madame Medusa is one of Disney's most underrated and savage villains. And very true.
I'd say so.
Yeah. In in the movies, and the movie's rival has seen her come out of the shadows as well. She is a nasty two-faced. Gosh, she is as nasty and two-faced as other villains of the era, such as Cruella de Vil.
Yep.
And Edgar the Butler from the Aristocats.
Yep. Sounds about right.
And she even inspired Ursula, the sea witch of The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
They took inspiration.
Yeah, that fits.
Which is, yeah.
But what a template.
Greed seems to be the fatal flaw of the Disney villains in the years preceding the Renaissance the Renaissance period. I didn't see the period there. Still, instead of luxurious furs or an old lady's inheritance, Madame Medusa is pursuing gemstones.
Mm-hmm.
Her name isn't just borrowed from the infamous monster of Greek mythology either. Penny actually freezes when Medusa makes eye contact with her.
Oh, God.
A reference to the ancient monster's power.
Damn.
To turn those who look at her into stone.
Yeah. I'd be freezing up.
Yep.
I've never seen someone so hideous.
You're right. Here we go. The UN and the Rescue Aid Society. The Rescue Aid Society is an organization in the way that's intended to mimic the United Nations itself. Although, as reference to...
It feels like they do a better job, honestly.
To the reference to Euripides' mouse, reveals that it goes back much longer than the contemporary organization based in New York City as the United Nations.
Yeah.
The mouse representing Hungary is the main character by Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
The brave and compassionate Miss Bianca.
Right.
And her incentive is what begins the story. Her voice actor and the voice actor behind Bianca is Ava Gaber, I think is what it is, who is actually from Budapest, Hungary.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Dulcet tones, that one.
Yeah. The Legend of Geraldine Page. Geraldine Page was one of the most talented entertainers from this era of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
She played various movie parts and was known for taking a wide variety of different characters. One of them was Madame Medusa.
Oh, wow.
The main villain of this.
Yeah, she definitely sells the
the
evil.
It says that the animator who drew Medusa almost single-handedly raved that Page had only needed one take for each of her lines. She had nailed every single one perfectly.
Wow.
On the very first try.
Talented.
Yeah. He was the last of the 9... Wait, what?
Last of the 9 what now?
He was the last of the 9 old men, and he has his own story. Mit Kahl, last of the 9. Okay, here we go. In the early days of Disney, there was a group of animators that made the magic happen. The same animators that had created Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and were now in retirement, had gone on to directing and producing and had moved on to that big storyboard in the sky.
Oh, damn.
The Rescuers was the final animated feature for the gang's last holdout that came to be known as the 9 Old Men.
Interesting.
Mit Kahl was the last of the group who stayed on the animation team, and this was the last movie to carry his signature style. He drew Madame Medusa almost completely by himself because none of his assistants had the same level of talent.
I couldn't quite replicate it.
Bro, that's
That's
crazy.
cool. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, me either. Other animators left as well, but for different reasons. This was also the last Disney film that Don Bluth and Gary Goldman worked on. Two names that might sound slightly familiar.
Yeah, Don Bluth is a classic.
Yeah. However,
and a bunch of good stuff.
Part of other reasons. Bluth, Bianca. Okay.
Did you lose your place?
No. I'm kind of skimming over some of this.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it kind of reiterates what we kind of read before.
Right.
Bianca isn't like other mice. Her character is already in direct contrast to the nervous, unsure Bernard. She was one of Disney's earliest attempts at an assertive female lead.
Right.
One thing that makes her stand out from other mice is that she has no fear of cats. So I was really making sure it wasn't something new. So I was just skimming over it.
What a name. The 9 Old Men.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's crazy. She seems to like them and she's even sympathetic towards them. This bravery is useful when on adventures.
Yeah, she's one of them star agents.
As it allows Bianca to converse with the local felines.
She's the cat's meow, if you would.
Yeah. I feel like I went into like one of those like National Geographic speakers.
Oh, yeah, like a narrator.
It allows her to converse with the local feline animals.
Right. A natural ability.
She is out of her natural habitat. If not for this skill, the mice might never have spoken to Rufus the cat in the first place, who was close to Penny and wanted to help the rescuers find her.
Good old Rufus.
This was the first animated film to have a sequel.
Really?
Although it didn't get as much attention.
Like first ever or just?
I don't know. Let's find out. I guess as far as the Disney company is concerned, probably.
Yeah.
Although it didn't get as much attention as other films released during the Disney Renaissance. That had begun with The Little Mermaid in 1989. The Rescuers Down Under was released only a year later and had the same adventure, drama, and compelling characters as the original movie from 1977.
Nice. It's a good vote of confidence.
It was also one of the first Disney films to integrate computer-generated graphics into the hand-drawn animation style before The Lion King and the Beauty and the Beast.
Nice.
Made it cool. Far from shying away from politics, the movie takes an unapologetic environmental message by making the villain, who is played to perfection by Hollywood heavyweight George C. Scott, a poacher.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that. But damn.
The rescue was down under. And I'm
That's not a mouse.
That's not a mouse.
This is a mouse.
Yeah. I'm seeing the picture here of like the actual, and I think I know what they're talking about. Like the backgrounds are, I think, hand painted, but the characters are
yeah, I remember
CGI.
everything looking a little more smooth.
I think the characters are that way, and so it does kind of have that Little Mermaid / Beauty and the Beast feel to it a little bit. So
animation's the hell of a thing, man. That's got to be one of my favorite mediums.
What a great movie.
I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we don't watch Disney stuff often for the podcast.
Right.
And this was just sort of like on a whim.
Yeah.
Like just spur of the moment type shit. But I think it turned out pretty well.
Right. I liked it.
That probably one of my favorite Disney movies.
Yeah. Because of the fact that also the characters are all like hand drawn. Like it is. I thought that it was more modern than it actually was. 1977, like that's like a or like I said, that's an old Disney film. So it still has like a lot of that like classic animation vibe, like we said before.
Buena Vista.
Yeah, we still had like the hand painted feel of it and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
super cool. And it was also, it's a sad but also hopeful and
heartwarming
story that all ends up working out in the end. I think it's lovely. And there's a lot of cool characters in it, a lot of cool nuance.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. I haven't watched this movie in probably a decade or more. And so the fact we got to see it again was kind of cool.
Not a bad decision, I would say.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add to this one before we wrap it up?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Touched on just about everything I wanted to.
I know. Yeah, that's a fun time. If you have the chance, I'd go ahead and watch it. It was great.
Yeah.
I think our last episode was on Star Wars.
Yes.
The collection.
The
Battlefront collection. I won't bog down this episode with it.
Yeah.
But because this episode is on the heels of that one, I would feel wrong not talking about it.
Okay.
I didn't know this. And I feel like this happened a couple times.
Yeah.
With that game I was trying to mention before, Star Wars 1313. That was it was going to be a video game where you play as young Boba Fett trying to make his way in Coruscant.
Yeah.
Got canceled before it even got finished. I didn't hear about it until it got canceled, and I was like, well, shit, that sucks.
That would have been cool.
There's a couple other games like that I didn't really... I barely knew about the Knights of the Republic remake before it got canceled, and I was like, wow, that sucks. There's a bunch of these games that I'm like, it's almost like they have a lot of these games that I think would actually be really good, but for some reason they're getting canceled, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
They were pretty far into development of making a Mandalorian video game.
Really?
And I think it was going to be a third-person action shooter game, story forward, and it was going to be really great.
Yeah.
And I got to see some footage of it.
Really?
And it made me really sad because guess what? It got canceled.
Oh,
last week I think.
That sucks.
All the funding for it, and it wasn't even finished yet.
Damn.
But it looked so good. Modern engine, all that. I mean, it had all the stuff.
It's going to be bell and whistle.
Everybody's going to be a cool game.
Damn. That's a shame.
And I was like, so help me God, if we don't get a decent Star Wars game, and they're going to start shoveling out Epic Games Star Wars Fortnite shit.
Right. Slop.
I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
I'm a little upset.
I'm not going to say that I am looking forward to anything. I'm not saying I'm excited or that I don't know what to believe. The fact that Epic Games is going to be like cranking out some Star Wars games, I have hopes that maybe they can make something that's decent.
Maybe. Big if true.
Big if true. Big if true. But man, I just feel like they're remastering. I must have the numbers wrong. I must not know the numbers. But like, I just feel like there's a large fan base of people that would love some of the games that they're like potentially making or remastering.
Yeah.
Remastering Dark Forces. They remastered Dark Forces and people are like kind of losing their shit over it. At least the people in my circle. Maybe it's not a lot of people, but I mean, like, you're able to do that. But you can't bring back freaking Knights of the Republic.
Yeah.
You can't bring back freaking. You can't make a deadgum Mandalorian game. What the hell?
Yeah.
What is happening? And that's where I'm like, maybe I have misinformation. Maybe there's not as big of a population. Maybe if they did drop that game, that it wouldn't make as much money. But I hesitate to believe that's true.
Right.
I think you drop that game, I think you're gonna be swimming in money.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Star Wars is a cash cow.
Well, it used to be, especially like back
in
the
maybe
Lucas,
not so much
anymore. In the LucasArts days. Yeah.
Oh man.
They used to drop some freaking bomb ass games.
Oh yeah.
I spent so much time on freaking Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the PlayStation 2.
And
it wasn't even like the best game ever. I was like, I just love the fact that I'm playing as Boba Fett, shooting guns, capturing bounties.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and if I could do something like that for The Mandalorian in this brand new, beautiful engine, where I'm hunting down freaking criminals as a bounty hunter, I'm like, bruh, hell yeah.
Sign me up.
I'll take my money. You'll probably do a freaking digital deluxe edition. I'd buy it.
Damn.
If it was even decent. But I was like, but no. Can't even get it out of development.
Nope.
Why?
Who's to say?
I don't know. If we get some
bullshit, that's
we
what
get
I
some
said.
sort of sequel trilogy cartoon ass bullshit, I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'm pretty sure that will probably make a shit ton of money too, possibly. That's all they're caring about.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I said, I won't bog down this episode too much, but I feel like I gotta talk about it a little bit because I know we just talked about it.
Just had to vent.
Just had to vent a little bit. But anyways, if you're trying to reach us, we do have a YouTube channel. You just go into the search bar and type in @Hindsight Studios, and you can find all of our podcasts there. Give us some comments on the episodes. Give us some suggestions. If you want to listen to all the About Nothing stuff, it's all there in its own separate playlist. Got all the stuff there. Go ahead and give him some comments too. He's trying to get more people on board with that show.
Yeah. Alternatively, you could send us a message in a bottle.
Yes.
That just has help written on it.
Definitely.
We'll send a couple mice to get you the podcast.
If you turn on your spark plugs and make sure your fuel injectors are on, and then crank that engine real good.
Rather than the distinct hum of said engine, you will hear our podcast.
Yeah, but you have to be like petting the top, saying, "Come on, baby, come on, come on," and then of course the podcast will play out of the engine. But yeah, until next week, thank you so much for listening.
See ya.
Bye bye.